Let's talk about resets. So there's a lot of different resets that people have been talking about forever, like since yeah, all different accounts of different things. And the popular one right now is American government kind of things. So that's like the most popular one, where people and they mix it with alien stuff and things like that. So they say that there's going to be this thing. Um, in Sumerian, they talk about resets of with water specifically. In the Bible, they also talk about water, but then they also talk about possibilities of earthquakes and all kinds of things that could happen, and end of the world kind of vibes stuff. So they say apocalypse, but they don't mean apocalypse like that. They mean like changes, and then they changed it in the New Testament, blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of stuff. It's just, everyone knows this. Even people who don't care about it, they've come across it in movies, people talking about it, pop culture, all this stuff, right? But the reset that people keep talking about now is basically from the rhetoric where there's energies coming to save us as if they don't already work on our matrix. So a lot of people understand the simulation and that there could be a simulation and a matrix, and there's been papers written about it. People are taking it more seriously now. It's getting more and more obvious that it is. There's lots of different things happening where if you pay attention, you'll see it. But what is interesting is even people watch The Matrix and they take that literally and say it's a documentary, and like it's just something, when people see one person comment that and then they repeat it, that kind of stuff. Still, even though people think these things and it's in the collective, we still don't think, okay, so if that's the case, why is it the case? And then some people then they throw that out of the window and then move on to energies all of a sudden, like making it so that we're in a prison, or making it so that we're energetic food or whatever. They go into those places instead of actually thinking of a simulation. Like, why is it a simulation? Because you could do those things that they talk about, that they get scared and they're like, oh, it could be this. And like I said, I don't want to say those aren't true, because there are things going on like that, but it's not what they think. Those are things they're picking up on and not following through with those. So what happens is people don't stay on track with just that. So if we stay on track with just that and focus on that and not get sidetracked of like all those other things, just stay on track. Okay, so let's use the concept of a simulation, right? And let's say it's a video game, and someone programs a video game. There's a theme. So like, let's say it's a video game about little ponies that are going to go trying to find where their home is. And along the way, they're going on a journey and they need to eat things, right? So the person who programs that video game has a storyline. They have an intention of why they made it. And the characters in it themselves don't know what's going on, but the humans that are playing those characters know what's going on, right? And so that's when people talk about NPCs and things like this, which I don't think NPCs exist in the sense of types. Like, people love to do things where they're like, this is a type of person, this is a species of whatever. It's not like that. I think that we all can be NPCs any second of the day, and it's just basically you. Like even me, there's something recently that happened to me where I realized that my feelings and whims were I was getting into those things without thinking through it. So like you can get hyper aware of things that are happening. A lot of people who are into starseed stuff and think they're doing like all these things, a lot of them get into this stuff because like people that do stuff like that, and they say that they do stuff in their dreams and things like that, which is happening, but they get involved in a way where they don't realize that they have access to observing. And sometimes you play a little role, but you would know you're playing that role, and it would be a very human thing. It wouldn't be something that's not human. So if you're doing other things that have nothing to do with you being a human and your life, it means that you're just observing and you're practicing and learning about different things, but you're not whatever, right? And so this is what happens if you get hyper aware of those things. It could turn into psychosis, which means that you're not in touch with your daily life and you can't find how it relates. Or it could be something like this, like I said, where you become an NPC almost. So even though you're so aware and awake, like me, I know all these different things and I can pull all these things, but you can be so hyper aware that you become a puppet again. You become an NPC. So that's all those things having to do with this. And the reason why that happens is because you are so aware that now when you see those things, you can be not used, but you can be like, you're the representative. And I remember it happening a couple years back. I'd say maybe not couple, I'd say maybe 4 years ago, when these type of angel energies were getting in contact with me. I was like, this is so cool. And so I have a tendency to want to help everyone, so they use this a lot, and they know that I have more access without just being a human because of all these weird code things. And so basically what I did is I started to help people, and I saw how these things were impacting and how someone completely could flip if I just kept doing it. But just because I can doesn't mean I should, right? I learned that lesson. But they were doing that because they could do that with other people or many people, and then that one person would get help or whatever. But with me, it would be like, I would just do all that work. So they're like, okay, they're just going to keep going and going and going and stuff like that. So anyway, that is why those came. I don't know why I went on a tangent. I'm going on a tangent. Let's see. Reset. Okay, yeah, back to reset. So, I needed to talk about that because of the reset thing. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what that is because I mentioned it in the last video. If anyone's like, what's going on, and they want to just go to the other video. Basically, the other video I talked about copy paste. So copy paste is happening like all the time. There's big copy paste and there's small. And the difference between a copy paste and a reset is that the reset is not about the experience of the humans and what the humans want. It is about changing the matrix. So let's say, for example, this happened already, by the way. There was one last year in June-ish, there was a reset. And the reset means that you either add to the simulation rules or you take away from the simulation rules. And so the people who experience these resets that talk about things, like I said earlier, these are the hyper-aware people. These are the people, like I said, that can be used as puppets to change things and to do things. So when these things are about to flip and change and be a reset, they get in contact with they meaning the energies that are about to change it, and they're all like working on it. I was aware of this, so I know if anybody wants to know more about this, last year I couldn't talk about it too much except for in some cases, but now it's fine because it's like a long time ago now, kind of, for us. And everything's in place, and there's no, energies figuring out what they're going to do, and it's done. And so what people call wars, when they see astral wars, this is basically what it is. It's not really wars. It's about different energies having completely different things to say, like completely, like they have different ideas. So I'm going to give an example of that one. So one side wanted to add to the learning teaching dimension, so this matrix, and they wanted to add, instead of it just being that your energy gets distributed, which people think is forgetting, but it's actually you have to gather all the different versions of you to remember things, to start remembering. When you start doing that, it just does it automatically, but in the beginning it's like an active thing. That's what I specialize in helping people with. But that was the only way. And now, because it's changed and there's more space and energy, you don't need to do that because it will happen automatically with barely any effort, right? But you need to know that that's on offer. So that's part of why I'm a part of that. That's why I was able to like kind of sit in on what was going on. So anyway, really quick. So that was one choice. They wanted to add to it. So no taking away or changing completely, just adding to it. And then the other one was to keep it how it is. So which is like all these different things. I talk about it on my podcast of how you have to help do this and you have to do this, because if you don't do the normal thing, you're not going to be helped energetically. It's going to be, you're going against not like a huge wave of energy. Okay. I want to quickly, it's almost done to 10 minutes. So really quick, that's kind of what is going on when there's like a war and there's about to be a reset. And then when the reset happens, it means that they've both decided it's okay. And I can go more into that, but I'm not. So now the human's perspective, when they see these things, they see what happens to the switch, the copy paste, all those different things. They, when that's going on, they talk to those energies. They show them the possibilities. They're like, this is what would happen. This is how it looks. And so it changes humans' minds as well as the bigger energies. So anyway, if you want to know more, let me know in the comments and I'll do more about this. But that's kind of that in a nutshell.